What Jordan Woodard is capable of from his past 17.5 points this year. What sort of challenges is he for your guards?
Well, they moved him back to the point, so he's a lot like he was his freshman year. You know, they set a lot of ball screens for him. He does a great job using ball screens, makes shots. I think a lot of maybe why they have struggled a little bit is because he hadn't played. They've played much better since he's gotten back.
Got Javon getting an individual honor today, the Naismith Trophy Player of the Week. I know you guys aren't necessarily looking for individual as much as team honors, but what does that mean for you to coach a guy who puts in that kind of work and is rewarded for it?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, a guy that puts all the time in it he puts in to get rewarded, he should get rewarded. You know, he and James Long, without question, they're in the gym far more than anybody else, and it's just great that, I mean, I thought he played really well. I thought he managed the game really well.
Coach, 2 of the games against Oklahoma last year came down to, last second plays, instances, kind of thing. This year's team, last second moments. Obviously Nate hit the shot against Texas Tech to send it to overtime, and there hasn't really been, other opportunities, but late second instances with this team. What do you think?
Well, I think we got a lot of guys who can make shots. Probably more guys than we had a year ago that we can put on the floor to make shots. So doesn't mean they're always going to make them, but I think we've got a pretty good chance.
Yeah.
When Devin approached you and said he was going to leave, and you got to thinking about it, how did you envision this team, and has it worked out that way, or have those 3 guys that have played inside kind of changed what you thought you might have to be?
When Dev came over to my house to talk to me about it, I mean, my thought process really wasn't anything about our team. It was about what was best for him. And I think like everybody, we thought Elijah would, come in and take Devin's heavy minutes, because it basically was those 2 guys a year ago. And Brandon's played really well, and I didn't know what we'd get from Sags. I knew he was talented, but I didn't know, obviously, how quick he would pick things up. I worried a little bit about the language barrier, but he's played really. I mean, they've all. Elijah's struggled early, but I think this last couple of games he's played really well.
They've shot like 60% combined, the 3 of them, and they've rebounded, okay, maybe not quite as much even as Devin did, but they have. But they've also, you haven't needed it because of the improvement Adrian and Aces had. I mean, it's made you a different team, really.
Well, I think without Dev, we have more influence around the rim defensively, I think, without a question, what Sags has done. Somebody told me the other day Sags has already blocked more shots than Dev did in his career. So they give us something that Devin didn't give us. Now, what they haven't given us that Dev gave us was maybe the best offensive rebounder in college basketball, and particularly when we needed offensive rebounds. He was absolutely terrific. I think Sags has the ability to get there. Brandon's been pretty active. We've got to get those guys just being more active. I think the more active they are, the better it makes Elijah, the better it makes Nate, because now they're eating up space and really bodies. So we just got to get them more active on a consistent basis. They have been. It's just not as consistent as what Dev was.
Talked about Cincinnati days and going into people's gyms and just having the name and the ranking and all of that, and then being able to handle it. how do you think that this team is doing so far, getting into the top 10? Handling the pressures that come along with national attention that accommodates a top 10 ranking.
Well, we talked to them about the difference of being the hunter and the hunted. I think I was watching Kansas, Iowa State, and the commentary was that Kansas is used to coming into that kind of environment. And I can remember early on playing Indiana, and Coach Knight said it wasn't fair to your guys, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, well, we're used to this. We're used to this kind of environment. We play in it every game. We certainly learn how to do that. But I think it's a challenge. I think it's kind of an honor that you're going to get everybody's best shot.
Kind of flipping the script on that last second thing real quick. If you're on defense, do you have presses specifically designed to, like if they have to go to the full length of a court in a couple seconds or whatever, do you guys have anything specifically designed for that?
We can change things to try to slow them down. The problem with that is you don't want to foul them down there.
Right.
We try to slow them down some. Kansas State a year ago, we were trying to slow them down, and Gary fouled twice. I'm like losing my mind because we're supposed to be behind them, just trying to make them catch it in front of us and slow them down so they couldn't roll the ball to half court, and all that kind of stuff. We have it. We don't always execute it real well. You just want them to burn as much clock as you can get them to burn.
You just hope they don't hit a half quarter, right?
Yeah. Half quarter or tip in.
Yeah.